Greetings everyone, this is Tiffany Martinez. I hope you guys are always doing amazing wherever you are in the world. I normally don't make videos such as this, but I feel like I need to say it verbally in order to, move past it. And if my husband was here, I would be sharing it with him, and this conversation would end a little bit differently. Or maybe this text message would have never, or this text conversation would have never ever occurred. Because my husband, Henry, if you didn't know, he passed away on November 30th, 2021. So, and like I said, if he was here, I wouldn't have to, or here in the physical, I wouldn't have to be dealing with this. Because we talked about everything, we talked through everything, or whatever. So, and because my mother isn't here, she transitioned November 4th, 2022. So, I did this. I'm going to try to kind of start from the beginning, but I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want any bullshit slander cases being stacked up against me. Even though it's not slander when it's fucking true, right? So, I did this humongous favor for this person. And I was trying, I tried to go to my contacts and I changed the picture of this individual and I tried to change the name, update it as a narcissist. Just put the word narcissist there, and I was gonna keep the contact in it like that. But for some reason, my phone keeps putting it back to the original name. So I just keep it. I only took 2 screenshots. I really wanted you guys to see the entire conversation, but it's okay like this. It's fine. That person is the one that's in the darker, or let's say the black box, and I'm the one that's in the beige writing. So, like I said, I did this humongous favor for this individual, and I did it from my heart, because if I give something from my heart, even though this wasn't a gift, it's because I truly, truly, truly wanted to do it. And generally, when I do things for people, I expect nothing in return. Absolutely nothing. Like, you don't owe me anything. That's just my way of putting out good energy into the universe. And I know it's going to be returned to me whenever I have something that I need, So it's not a big deal. If I have it, I'm generally willing to share. Depends on what it is. So tonight, I'm just going to keep going so the video isn't that long. But it's definitely a story time type video. So like I said, I did this humongous favor for someone, and that was back in, I want to say January or very, very, very early February of 2024. And everything started off the way it was supposed to, as planned, but it quickly escalated into what it is currently right now. And like I said, my husband and I, we talked about everything. And if he was here, this would never happen anyways, because he would have basically put out all the pros and cons. And I knew what I was getting into from the beginning. However, I am no one's. And when I say no one's, I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care what your title is. I don't care. You're not going to use me as a doormat. I was married once before, so I recognize the narcissistic behavior. I understand that. It's like everything's all gravy as long as I'm doing what you want to do type shit. So I recognize that. My husband, he even pointed out things in various situations where this is going on with that person. So anyways, like I said, I did this enormous favor and things quickly escalated to where it is today, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. And I was having one-on-one conversations with this individual, but again, it was just brushed under the rug like it was nothing. And it's just like, I didn't matter. The situation didn't matter, but it does matter, right? So, I had to reach out to someone. Like I said, my mother isn't here, my husband isn't here because they have transitioned. So, like I said, this has been since February of this year, and so the person replies back to me, and they're very upset or whatever. And I'm gonna make sure this is, yeah. So they're upset because I reached out to someone. Like, I basically used a lifeline to say that this person, I think, has a compulsive disorder. And as you can see on the screen, the person is saying, stop texting me. I'm like, no, we can't do that. And my voice is just as calm as it is right now. Like, I'm not angry, I'm not yelling. At that point, I'm not cussing, nothing like that. Like, I'm not bothered. But at the same time, it's like, I'm just trying to have a civil conversation with you, and you're acting like I'm a spam or some shit, right? So, I said, I told that person that person was a coward, and I meant that wholeheartedly. See, that's the thing about my husband. Henry kept me very grounded and very centered. Like, I learned so much from him. Like, you don't gotta rip someone's soul out just because you're in a position to do so. And I know everything that this person is saying is misdirected anger. Like, I understand that. I get that completely. It's misdirected anger. But again, I'm not going to take your misdirected anger because this don't got nothing to do with me. Okay? So, and the person, they replies, guess what? God sees you and you suck. I'm thinking to myself, is that the best fireball that you got? Because you about to get ripped. Because at this point, I'm getting upset. And like, people will say like the most horriblest thing that they can think of when they're angry, and then they want to retract that comment at a later time. It's like, no, tell me the truth. And you told me the truth when we were speaking. When you're at that, you may be remorseful, but you still meant it. And I'm going on to this part that's on the screen, and I'm letting this person know that you spent over $200K in a matter of months. And like, who does that? And you didn't even pay off your mortgage? And it's like, to me, I think that that's a problem. Like, I don't care if this person, trust me, is not making six figures. They're not. But even if a person was making six figures, if you're not, even if you are, if you still have a compulsive behavior, you're going to ultimately crash and burn. And that's just saying everything's going to fall apart, basically. And I let the person know that they were selfish. Like I said, nothing of this was actually cruel on my behalf, because if my husband was here, if Henry was here, he would say, well, what did you say? And I would tell him everything verbatim. And usually, in the earlier years, he would tell me where I was wrong and how to get my my attitude in check. And so I'm saying the right things, that is not basically a name calling battle or whatever. So, and I just reminded this person how selfish that they were, and that they only have been thinking about themselves and not me in this situation. So, and I just tell her, don't be a pussy now. Like, say it with your chest. You done said everything else. Go ahead and say this. So if this person is angry because she messed up, she messed up, not me. I guess if you want to blame me, you can blame me for helping you. You can blame me for helping you. But at the end of the day, you can't blame me for what you did. Like when you crossed all these lines, when when it's your fault, you know. And like the scenario just breaks down to, I have this credit card and it had a very, very, very high limit on that card. And I'm very frustrated. Trust me, I am livid. I am livid at this point, but I'm trying to help her. I said I'm going to add you as an authorized user on the card. And I authorized her, and I know people are going to think, well, you should have never have done that, number one. And number two, you should have paid for the 2 transactions yourself, and then she can repay you so it doesn't snowball out of control. At the same time, you have to have some type of self-control, or I'm going to label you as a narcissist, and you're as compulsive. So the 2 initial transactions were made, and I said, okay, you got that, trust the process, don't worry about it. Your score is going to go up. I don't have a credit card program or anything like that, or fix your credit type shit. I don't have that. But I said, go ahead and get those 2 items, and she did. I said, once you pay these 2 off, then move on to the next thing that's on your list, but pay these 2 off first. And somehow, like the very next day of me having this like I had to constantly remind her, no more large purchases, pay this off first. And it was okay in the beginning. It was like after those 2 things were taken care of, she had to take and do something else. I don't want to mention it, and she basically spent like another $1,200, and I was like, no more. Like when I say no more, I mean no more. I don't care if the sky is falling. No more transactions, like nothing. And she started to get like kind of like an attitude about it, like I don't know how to explain to you. It's not your card. You're just authorized to be here, just like you are authorized to be in a like let's say a security or something, like an official business type thing. You get a visitor's pass. You're authorized to be here, but once that authorization has expired, that means you aren't supposed to be here. It's like maybe you don't understand this assignment, basically. So, like, I gotta sleep sometime. I sleep when my body lets me sleep, okay? I'm not gonna stay up 24 hours monitoring an adult. I'm not gonna do that, right? So, while I was sleeping, this person made more transactions and tried to justify it, like, well, I had to take care of it, I had to do this, I had to do that. No, you didn't have to do it. So again, I had this enormous amount of trust in this individual that I no longer have. And what's so funny is my husband and I, we used to see a lot of the court shows. Like on his day off, we would see every single one from start to finish because it was interesting seeing the cases. And everybody on that show would say basically, why didn't you just deactivate the card, like call your bank and all that? I'm like, because that trust was there, and again, that's why I'm leaning towards this person being a narcissist, because you just keep going, you just keep pushing, and knowing that I've already told you no. So then I remind her again not to use the card, not to use the card, not to use the card. And she wasn't like necessarily replying to the messages at this point, but again, while I'm sleeping, she decides to make more transactions. So, and I'm like furious at this point. Then she texts me back and she's like, well, you said I could use the card. I said, yeah, for those two initial transactions. But then she comes back and she says something like, that I was being restrictive. I'm like, yes, because it's not your card. How can I help you when you are triple dipping into this situation? I can see if something just came up and it's reasonable, but those aren't emergencies. Well, that one transaction, I guess you can say, was an emergency, but the rest of the shit was not an emergency. And if it was, that don't got nothing to do with me. That's a you problem. I can't emphasize that enough. When people try to make their problems your problem. And I'm only sharing this with you guys for those who actually follow my channel or are considering to follow my channel. And so anyways, back to this. And, we're back in this text message. And she knows that I live in physical pain like every day, and there's not really much that can be done about it. When my hands start to hurt, I resort to using the audio message where you can just leave like I think it's like a minute and a half message, and but it sounds pretty good because it's in your voice or whatever. And I think this is the final text where she says, well, I'm not going to read your text messages and no one's going to listen to your audio, so you do whatever you want to do. I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, well, you're still wrong in this situation. And the individuals that I spoke to on this matter, they pretty much agreed or whatever. And and I'm just annoyed. I'm just annoyed by people who think that they can just use you as a doormat or use you in general when you have, like, I extended this person an olive branch, this golden tree full of golden olives, and not only did she pick it clean, she uprooted the entire tree. And I'm just confused. Like there's a disconnect in the brain, meaning it's like a disorder. And I'm not picking on anybody who is narcissist and they don't know that they have an issue, right? So, but my thing is, that's not my problem. And you can't ignore it at the end of the day, And again, I remind her that she's a coward, And this is probably one of the prime reasons when my husband was here, even before before we were ever even a couple, I literally state to myself to avoid drama at all costs. I don't like drama. I don't like messy situations. I just don't like it. I like to just stay in my own little circle. Even if I have only 2 people in my life, I'm good with that. I cannot emphasize to you how perfect our marriage was. I was going to say my marriage, but that's just in my opinion. And he liked it that way too. He liked it that it was quiet. He liked it was just us. And it's kind of like a petri dish that unless something is invaded with it, then it's not going to be activated. It's like when you stay in your bubble and you go out, like I haven't been out like initially for like almost 3 years since my husband transitioned, but I started to go out in April, and right now I'm dealing with like a sore throat because I'm around other people that probably are around other people that have like a basic common cold or some shit like that. So you might catch 1 or 2 of my videos and I have a raspy voice, but right now I'm sucking on a cough drop. So, and if you read the first text message with that person's reply, and they like all that they can tell me to me in their defense is I suck. I'm like, I think I've given you enough time, and you must understand that you destroyed that trust. Like, you took advantage of me and you took advantage of the situation. And at the end of the day, when this is all done and every single dollar has been repaid, I'm going to forgive that person, but there's going to be, I'm not saying that I'm not going to speak to them again, but it can't be the way it is right now for a long, long time. And this entire situation, it just, it just makes me miss Henry even more. Because when I say everything was A-okay when my husband was here, everything was A-okay. You know, I always had someone to talk to that's not going to tell me what I want to hear. He's gonna tell me what I need to hear. And for 21 years, he showed me a better way. He showed me a better way to react to certain situations, and I'm never going to take that from him. Absolutely never. One of the first things he ever showed me in person was when one of his family members was spreading this rumor about me around this town where he lived in, and I had never even met the lady. I had never met her. I never even knew she even existed. But she was a family member, and she must have seen us somewhere in town. She must have seen us somewhere together. And she just kept telling everyone, Henry's girlfriend is pregnant. She just kept telling everyone that. And what was crazy was my husband and I, we were just still dating, and we were living at his parents' house. And his mother, she has since transitioned, but she was blind. And we were living in his house, in his parents' house, until we got our apartment. So it's two problems in this scenario. One, you're running your mouth and you're telling them things that we're not ready to tell them. Two, maybe we wanted it to be a surprise. Maybe I was having issues with the pregnancy. You don't know anything about us. You should have approached us, but you shouldn't have asked me any questions at all. And I remember asking for the lady's number, and his mother gave me the number. I don't know if she knew it by heart, but she just gave it quick. And I remember just going berserk on the phone with her, and she was all apologetic because you were embarrassing myself and you're embarrassing Henry, for the fact that we didn't want his parents to know that we were doing adult things in their home. I don't know how they would feel about that, or whatever. So the lady's crying on the phone. She doesn't live that far away. She gets in the car and she drives over. I don't know if the door was already unlocked. I just don't remember at this point, but I still can see her in my head just standing in the doorway. She steps into the house and she's still crying. I'm still ripping her a new one to just remind her, keep my name out your mouth, and if it concerns the both of us, keep our names out your mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. So, and again, she's standing there crying, and instead of Henry joining in with me to rip her a new one, Henry gets up and he goes and put his arms around her, he's showing her mercy, and he's showing me that, okay, it's like if it's a fist fight or whatever, you shouldn't keep hitting a person when they're already down. And those are the things, those type of examples are the things that my husband showed me. That's Henry. So I feel like I'm doing the same thing here, by giving her an ounce of mercy, but I'm also standing my ground. And I strongly believe if Henry was here, he would agree with me. Well, one, this would have never have happened, because I would have been thinking more clearly. I feel like, that she took advantage of this situation because, and I don't like using that word because I don't want to be in that club, but, excuse me. I don't want to be in that club. But basically, a widow, you took advantage of knowing that, my guard is down, and any other time, I really wouldn't have even needed Henry to tell me this is a bad idea. Like, you can't help everybody. And because I would have been thinking more clearly because everything was A-OK up in here, So I'm just frustrated. You can't tell by my voice, but because I'm not frustrated with you, so I'm not going to spew out, anger that doesn't belong in your courtyard, basically. And like I said, I stand on what anything that I say. If I said it, then I meant it. I'm not gonna basically call you a coward and then 3 hours later call you or text you. I really didn't mean it. No, I meant it. I meant it. I meant it wholeheartedly. Do you want me to put it on a t-shirt? I mean, I meant it. So I don't know really why I'm making this video, other than that I said early in the video that I needed to say this verbally as if my husband was sitting right here with me, and you can't be mad at someone else because you're mad at the person that's that's sitting right beside you. It's like, that is misdirected anger. I'm not saying you should be angry with that person, but you need to find another alternative and don't include me in it because, like I said, I was only trying to help, and that was my downfall. And this one, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to rise up from it. I know that for a fact, but at the same time, it's just these type situations definitely makes me want to just stay in my own circle because this should never happen. I don't like being taken advantage of. And as I stated earlier, I wasn't getting anything out of the deal other than just the satisfaction of knowing that I helped you. And you're going to be okay. And, you're going to teach this to to your children, to your grandchildren, and anything else that good comes. I generally want great things for everybody. And I say that on everything that I know and everything that I love. So, the audacity to, backstab somebody that's only trying to help you. I have a family member, I'm not going to say that person's name either, but there was a recent scenario where, person A needed a financial favor and person B said, okay, I'll do it for you, but it's going to cost you this much, which I thought was a little off, but at the same time, where else are you going to get that kind of money that's the interest rate is this low, type thing. So anyways, if you found this video useful and if you'd like me to tell more stories, kindly like the video or comment, but don't waste your time trying to be negative or putting negative energy out there. It's just, you're definitely wasting your time, and I'm going to find it amusing. I'm definitely going to find it amusing because even if you're a troll and you get paid to post comments, you don't have to bring negative energy with you when you come in the door. Just turn around and go elsewhere because you're definitely not welcome here. You can follow me on Twitter if you would like at LawfulMoney76. This is my only other platform, which is YouTube. If you would like to subscribe and all that great stuff, you can do so right now. Take care.